Well, welcome everyone to Connect Group Training. If you're watching this video, that means that you have taken the bold step in becoming a leader, a co-leader, or a host of one of our Connect groups. And that's huge because what that means is that you are literally helping us fulfill the mission and vision of this church. When we started The Heart, we wanted to connect people to the heart of God. It was that simple. And what we have found is that these connect groups are the best way to do that. They're the best way to grow our faith, to grow together as a community, because we are all on a journey. And when we take that journey together and we're helping each other along, our faith grows the most, the deepest, and we connect with God and others in a real way. So I want to say all that to say thank you so much. I want to go over some questions that you might have. When it comes to these groups, we've designed them in such a way that makes them easy to lead, easy to host. So we want to go over a couple of questions that you might have either along the way or address some things up front, some things that may never come up. But the more information you have, the better. So let's get into a couple of those questions. All right, a great question that comes up when it comes to leading a group, co-leading a group, or hosting a group is how much time do I need to invest in, right? How much time am I committing to when it comes to being a part of a Connect group? It's a great question. It's a fair question because if we're asking you to lead, co-lead, or host, then there's going to be a certain amount of time you're going to need to invest in this. And here's what it is. When it comes down to it, the Connect group lasts from about 6:30 to 8. So there's that hour and a half of actual Connect group time. Other than that hour and a half, if you're hosting a group, maybe an hour before that to kind of clean up the house, make sure their bathroom has toilet paper and everything else, and make sure the house is ready for you to be able to create a welcoming environment for others, half hour, depending on that. If you're leading or hosting the group, really it is minimal time to get ready for group, because what we want you to do is to at least watch the video beforehand. So that's about 7 to 9 minutes. And then if you want to have the scriptures looked up on your phone or in your Bible, that's a couple more minutes. And we would love for you to take some time in prayer over the group before the Connect group that evening or earlier in the week. So all in all, maybe 15, 20, 30 minutes, depending on how much prep work you want to do. But it is so minimal, and that's what we love about the way we're doing it, is because all you get to do is show a video and you're simply facilitating the conversation. There's no prep time in Bible study. There's no you creating the content. The content is created for you. You hit play and then help facilitate people answering the questions. So if you're hosting, it's about 30 minutes to an hour, depending on kind of making your home, the environment welcoming, clean, and inviting. And if you are leading and co-leading, maybe 30 minutes tops to kind of prepare for that, get your heart ready, get your mind ready, get our spirits ready to do that. Another great question that we get is, what if I don't have great Bible knowledge, right? What if I don't have the Bible memorized? I'm not sure where the books of the Bible are. What if I don't know as much about the Bible as the people coming to Connect Group, as people around me, whatever it happens to be? It's a great question. And the way we have designed these Connect Groups, it matters very little if you know anything about the Bible as far as details, stories, where books are, anything like that. The main goal of a Connect Group leader and co-leader is to facilitate conversation, not to be an expert in the Bible. The way we've designed Connect Groups is they are not Bible studies, right? So there's not one person teaching everyone else. They are simply conversations that we are all joining in together. So if fear of having a lack of Bible knowledge is keeping you from digging in deeper into Connect Groups, whether it be leading or co-leading, or you know someone, let's dispel that fear, dispel that myth or that rumor that you don't need to be a Bible expert to be a part of leading or co-leading a Connect Group. Now, sometimes in group, somebody will ask a question that you feel might be a little bit over your head spiritually, or it might be a question you don't know the answer to because it has to do with maybe why the speaker on Sunday said this, or why we do this at our church. Sometimes you'll get questions that you don't know the answer to, that you're not sure how to answer. And the way we've designed these connect groups is we don't want you to have to do that. There is absolutely no pressure for you to know the answer to any or all questions. So what we've done is you can have a poster board there and you can write questions down, or if you want, you can just set it on Slack, the Slack channel for the Connect groups, and ask the question. Say, at our group, somebody asked, why does Dominic want to talk about money every Sunday, right? Why do we do an offering talk every Sunday? Well, you don't need to feel obligated to answer that question. You can simply tell whoever's answering the question, I'm not quite sure. I will get with Dominic and we'll get an answer for you guys. And then that way the responsibility is on me to provide the answers that people are asking. And that could be, I do a video like this to address the question in the group, or depending on the question, I could show up to the group. Or depending on the question as well, I could have a one-on-one meeting with the person who asked that question. So the bottom line is, when someone asks a question that you're not sure of the answer to, or that you're not comfortable answering, all you have to do is say, I'm not quite sure. Let me get that question to Dominic and we will get back with you guys next week. It's as simple as that. And that's what we want to be able to provide for our leaders and co-leaders to make it as smooth as possible on a Connect group evening. Now, a great question that comes up, and obviously this is going to happen because life happens and we're living real lives, not perfectly scripted lives, is if you are a leader, a co-leader, or a host, and your particular night, let's say for example, is a Wednesday night, and something comes up, there's an emergency with your family, car breaks down, some sort of event happens, and you're not able to lead or co-lead or host the way that you have wanted to, or in the evening of, what should you do? And this is a great question because this is going to happen. So what we want to be able to do is have people in our group that we're constantly communicating with. Communication is the simplest answer to this. It's communicate with everyone in your group, communicate with your co-leader if you're the leader. If you're the co-leader, communicate with your leader. If you're the host, communicate with your leader. And if you're the leader, communicate with your co-leader and your host. Always be in communication with the people who are on your team there making that group happen. So we want to be able to, that's one of the big reasons we have a leader and a co-leader, is if something happens, we're able to help each other out. And what we can also do is someone hosting, if they're comfortable, they can step in as a leader or a co-leader for a particular group. And one of the main things we do as well is we want to always have the mindset of we are replacing ourselves. So as we are leading our groups, we want to always be on the lookout for who is doing a great job at answering questions, facilitating conversation, and maybe keep them in the loop for when an emergency happens, we can reach out to these people. But again, the shortest answer to this is communication, communication, communication. Leaders talk to co-leader and host. Co-leaders talk to your leader and host talk to your leaders and co-leaders. If anything changes, the faster we know, the faster we can make the updates, and the faster we can let everyone else know in the group and for people that might be coming to group. Okay, now a question that comes up that is completely valid, because in these groups, they are designed to be conversational. So we encourage free-flowing conversation. Sometimes we'll stay on a question for 30 minutes and maybe not get to the second and third question. Sometimes we'll do all three questions in 30 minutes because people weren't sharing as much as we maybe would like them to, or whatever it happens to be. So it can go both ways. It can go back and forth, and we encourage the free-flowing conversation that happens in these groups. Now, what can happen and what you might face may be probably the most difficult part of leading or co-leading or hosting a connect group is if the conversation turns negative. Right? So if somebody has a problem with what is going on, somebody has a problem with a question, and they are bringing a negative energy or a negative kind of attitude to the conversation, what do you do? What do you do if the conversation or an individual in particular turns negative or starts to bring the group down or starts to kind of disrupt or talk negatively about the church or about Amber or I, or about other co-leaders and other leaders of our connect groups? What do we do when it turns negative? And what I want here is to be extremely clear that you making the choice to lead, co-lead, or host, you have been uniquely positioned and empowered to do what is necessary. So what that means is I want you to feel safe to shut down any negative conversation. And if that means ending the group early, say, maybe it's not a good idea that we talk about this anymore tonight. Let's pray before we go, and we'll circle back up Wednesday or next Tuesday, whatever the group happens to be. If it doesn't need to be that extreme where you're shutting down the group, maybe it's, hey, this sounds like it's getting a little bit negative. Maybe we should go on to the next question and see if we can get some more conversation going. What can be dangerous is if the negative conversation or the negative person in the group can influence the entire group, and then it gets too much, too far, too fast. So if we are the leader, co-leader, and host are all on the same page, that negative conversation about our groups, about the church, about Dominic, about Amber, about any of you guys, that is not what connect groups are for. Connect groups are for us to build and grow our faith, not to complain about things we wish were happening, or complain about the questions, or complain about this or that. If someone does have a problem with anything, we of course want to hear that, but the connect group environment is not the place for that. So I want to encourage you to stop wherever it is, and you'll be able to know it, you'll be able to sense it, and I'm telling you that you are empowered to shut that down, to stop it and say, this sounds like it's getting a little bit negative. Can we move on to the next question, and can we start fresh? Or if that doesn't work, this sounds like it's getting negative, let's go ahead and end group for tonight before things get too heated, and let's circle back next time. And then what we can do, what you're empowered to do as well, is communicate with me and talk about what happened. Let's see how we can address it. And I want to help clear things up. It's always helping clear things up. I don't want to shut down people who have negative things to say, but I do want to have those conversations in the appropriate environment, in the appropriate setting. And that is a one-on-one conversation, or maybe a small conference with you, the leader, co-leader, me, and the person who has a negative attitude about something. Well, guys, that's just a few of the questions that you might have. There could be more to come. I want to address any and all questions that you guys could have when it comes to groups. So hopefully some of these questions are helpful. You can always go back and reference them. And love you guys so much. So grateful for what you are doing, for what you've made the choice to do. And because of that, people are going to be able to connect to the heart of God. So thank you so much, and we'll see you guys soon.